Call this meeting to order, please. Everyone able to stand, please stand for the pledge. Please note this meeting is being recorded for 15 minutes in Dalton Cable TV.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready to do roll call, please.
Here.
Chair Robert Bishop.
Here.
Dan Esco.
Here.
Our town manager Eric Anderson.
Here as well.
An excuse would be Mark Strout and John Doyle.
They're both excused. Okay. That brings us to minutes of December 8th and December 22nd. Mr. Esco.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes for Monday, December 8th, 2025. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes for Monday, December 22nd, 2025. Second.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I have an announcement to make before we start the meeting. At the last meeting, there were some residents that were totally out of order. We understand you have questions. The board takes comments, public comments during regular meetings. Special meetings where we only have 1 or 2 agenda items, we do not take comments. And if we started taking public comments when it's not on the agenda, we're subject to the open meeting law. So, in the meantime, I've asked for a police officer to be here tonight in case things get out of hand again. And what's going to happen if things get out of hand, we're shutting the meeting down and the people will be escorted out. We will not withstand behavior like the last meeting, as that's why we have our officer present. Please be respectful at all times. We do understand you have questions, and we do want to hear them.
I have a question.
You want to open up the comment period first?
May I speak?
Not yet. Public to address the board. This is the time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or any issue or matter of the town. If you intend on a comment on an item listed on the meeting agenda, please do so at this time. The public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Each individual will be given up to 3 minutes. If you intend on addressing the board, we ask you to do the following. Please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. Please step up to the podium and speak into the microphone. Please identify yourself by name, address, or the company/institution you represent. Please address your comments to the board chair. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or their designee may answer questions under procedural matters. Now, does anyone want to speak to any items? Yes, first, the lady right here in the first.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Sue Doucette. I live at 10 Vermini Drive. I'm not normally known to be a troublemaker. I'm normally known as a problem solver. So I'm presenting to you tonight 2 problems with some solutions. Problems that I see have taken my trust in you, the select board, in knowing what is in the best interest of this town.
Okay.
So number 1 was the property above North Street, almost Windsor, that was sold to not the highest bidder. We should have sold it to the highest bidder, and now we're going to pay a higher price for that. I think that you guys made a mistake, and I think you should own it and apologize. So that's the problem and the solution. Number 2 is the proposed public safety facility. I do not believe it belongs in the neighborhood. If I understand you're looking at town land, I get that, and I applaud that. does not belong in the residential neighborhood or elsewhere. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Al.
Well, they go 24/9 now. I'm here to speak on the site selection committees talk when they get to that point. I'd like to be recognized when they get to that point.
Okay, let
I'm
me,
in favor of this site being this property here. And I think the people who voted to have residences here are going to find out they made a mistake when they look at the zoning bylaws. I would like to reserve my right to speak on the matters of trust. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Al. I just got to find out where that is on this agenda, and I'll put them down. What number is it? 21. Okay, Al. Next, Andrew.
Andrew Saborski, 109 Glenmont Road. I'm a long-time resident, 26 years. Going on 27. And when we moved here from where we lived before, in the Valley, I was warned by my accountant that was very familiar with this town about the way the town is run. And over the years, it's been true. I haven't attended many of these meetings, but honestly, I'm at a loss to understand why this town continues to spend the money that it spends, and to support what the young lady before said about putting the new police station in a residential area. I think it should be somewhere on the main road. It only makes sense. It shouldn't be in the residential neighborhood, on back streets. So, given that, I just wanted to make one observation about the last meeting. And perhaps, tempers were short and so forth. When we were out of order, I'll grant you that. But the way the meeting was described, it said discussion and signing of this particular deed or sale. So I expected to be able to discuss, and that's why we did what we did. So I don't want to be an outlaw. I want to go hard, but that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Henry?
I have 3 different comments. So the first is, we have the open meeting law right now. Why not explain in today's meeting the process of which you decided to make the decision you made?
It's not on the agenda.
Or any other
I have
pertaining.
I have some comments to make during the select board comments.
How about we not discuss anything now and just
Right.
hear what he has to say? And
Yeah.
we're not here to discuss.
During this meeting, so we can explain for those of us who wish to hear. Please do. With what went on in Hinsdale with the situation up there, is this an opportunity for both towns to strongly consider regionalization? That's a cost-saving measure. It would make absolute sense that we regionalize any service that we can. Why not strongly consider that for police? And my understanding is the objection to regionalization previously came from the police chief in Hinsdale. So why not pursue that now aggressively, and shouldn't it be select board? The other comment I have is for the safety building, the location. If you wouldn't want it in your own neighborhood, how can you justify having it in somebody else's neighborhood? And I want to remind people that we voted in the town meeting to take the old high school down on contention that would be homes similar to the homes that were already on the street here. So for those two reasons, I can't see having a safety building in this neighborhood. Here, we should look elsewhere. Agree with what Andrew said. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Richard?
Rich Hope, 164 Green Ridge Drive. I just want to hope that you support Alison number 19. That when it comes up. Questions. Okay.
You got it, Richard. Okay. Okay, this leads us to the appointments.
I'm just going to move through these.
I've got one. Mine, you cannot do tonight because there's only two people that can vote. We'll table that.
That's fine.
Yeah, don't even bother us.
When I get to it, I'll mention that.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of Kenjah O'Donnell to the Conservation Commission effective immediately through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further comments or suggestions?
Is Kenjah in attendance?
Yeah, Kim's a conservation agent. Yeah, please. Oh, yeah.
So
Excellent.
she couldn't make it. She's traveling back from Boston, going to orientation at the school. So if there's any questions, I can help answer. You know,
Nope, she's well qualified from what we see, so,
I believe so.
so I strongly support this, so,
Yes, and full support from the conservation.
okay? Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Kenya.
Thank you. Is it pronounced Kenya?
Kenjah.
Kenjah. Like, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of James Jimbo Doucette to the Clean Air Committee as the Board of Health representative effective immediately through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Believe.
Jimbo, you want to say anything?
Yeah, when I joined, when I joined the board to help Nancy Hopkins, the chairman, asked if I would take her place on this committee. I go to all the meetings anyway, and I said, sure, I'm glad to.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Jimbo.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the appointment of Robert Bishop to the Dalton Cable Association Board of Directors, effective immediately through December 31st, 2028. We do not have sufficient quorum for that vote, so I believe you would recuse yourself.
Okay. Okay, and the last one.
And finally, I move that we approve the appointment of Craig Wilbur to the Public Safety Facility Advisory Committee, effective immediately through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Just one thing, Bob. Hopefully we'll discuss this when we talk about the public safety in terms of the remaining opening. Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thanks, Greg. Okay, number 8, FY 26 Cultural Council Grant Decisions. Jenny, you guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeannie Ingram, 109 Glen Avenue, Chair of the Dalton Cultural Council. On behalf of fellow Cultural Council members, I'm pleased to have this opportunity to share an update of our activities through the current Massachusetts Cultural Council grant cycle. Before sharing our update, I wanted to give a special thanks to previous members of the Dalton Cultural Council who served until February of 2025. They were Alyssa Machino, Leslie Gassman, Mary Farrell, Karen Kelly, Harris Porter, Linda Gallick, Kathy Grady, and Kathy Harris. Their great efforts and organization allowed us to pick up in August where they had left off in February. I'm especially grateful to the current members for stepping up to reestablish this committee. Lori Venezia, Executive Assistant to the Town Manager, has been an invaluable partner in organizing the committee and working with our MCC contact, Cynthia Pham. I'm also extremely grateful for Mary Farrell for agreeing to continue her work, come back to the committee and continue her work on the, as secretary. Her insights and experience have been really helpful. Several members of the committee are here tonight, and I would love them to stand when I give their names. The current committee members are Preston Clark, Mary Farrell, myself, Peggy Pagulo, Dan Swarazza, Jerry Stringer, and Lori. If you or anyone you know is interested in joining our committee, we'd be happy to have you. Just let Lori know. The mission of the Dalton Cultural Council is to promote access, excellence, education, and diversity in the arts, humanities, and interpretive sciences to improve the quality of life for all residents. For those who are unfamiliar with the Dalton Cultural Council, is designated as a local cultural council from the Massachusetts Cultural Council. The MCC receives funding from an annual allocation, a state appropriation, each year, and the MCC distributes that appropriation to local councils like ourselves. In turn, we get to make grants to schools, organizations, and individuals in our community. These funds are paid to successful applicants on a reimbursement basis, and distributions to each LCC are based on local aid formula that's devised by the state, and the formula considers the population and property values, and it's weighted to give larger distributions to poor communities. I just want to make a point that what I'm about to talk about is the FY26 grant cycle update, which is what we're currently in. There will be a full report on the FY25 grant cycle, which this committee had nothing to do with. We'll be presenting that for the annual report. Lori was extremely helpful in offering a framework that we can measure and assess grant applications. This approach allowed each committee member to rate each grant according to a set criteria and then add to a master document that tallied the totals and indicated which grants received the highest scores. Our granting conversation could then focus on those applicants with the highest scores. If anyone is interested in the scoring matrix, which will continue to evolve over the future, we're happy to share it. In the fall of 2025, the Cultural Council received 46 applications requesting support for a wide variety of projects, totaling $36,533. The following 14 applicants were approved for funding. Due to some confusion over the MCC's distribution, we mistakenly underfunded the programs that we identified, and we're happy to say that we'll be adjusting some of these awards after we vote later this week. So I'm just going to share the 14 applicants who were successful, and the total that we're distributing is $12,195. Our first program is Arts and Recovery for Youth for their program at New Art Studio and Gallery in Pittsfield. Next, we have the Berkshire Museum School's program Music for Young Minds, the Woodwind Quintet at Craneville Elementary. Berkshire Pride, bringing literacy to Dalton with the Drag Happy Hour at the Dalton Free Library. Sarah Clay in her program Daydreaming, music with the Star Cats Jazz Trio at the Dalton Free Library. The Dalton CRA's Music on Main Summer Concert Series. The Craneville PTO's Sky Dome Planetarium program at Craneville Elementary. Grow Dalton's program and their annual Halloween Family Fun Walk at the CRA. Bernice Lewis and her work with the Sugar-Filled Folk Festival. musicdance.edu for hip hop square dance for seniors here at the Senior Center and possibly the Sugarfield Assisted Living Center. Mary Jo Demashek for her Corner of the Sky Cabaret, also here at the Dalton Senior Center. The Eagles Band, who will be part of the summer concert series on the Long CRA. Tamarack Hollow Nature and Cultural Center for their program exploring the fauna, flora, and cultural history of the Falls. Mary Witt for music for community at the Dalton Free Library. And finally, the Beckett Art Center for their Creative Crossroads after-school program out at CRA. Just a quick analysis of these decisions. Of 14 of the funded programs, 4 are focused on children and youth, 2 are focused on seniors, 8 are focused on families and general audience. 2 are connected to the visual arts, 7 are connected to music, 1 is connected to dance, 4 connects to community, culture, and science, and 8 of the 14 are previous recipients. With the granting cycle behind us, City Council's focus will be shifting this spring towards other cultural activity like Dalton Days, assessing the community's interest in cultural offerings to help guide future grant criteria, and connecting with other cultural councils to build stronger connections between area councils. We are very much looking forward to enjoying the activities that are funded, and we hope to see many of you and our neighbors around town at these events and programs. Thank you to the Select Board for letting us share this information. We look forward to submitting a final report once we've done our final vote.
Thank you. Excellent. It's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Great work. Okay. Add Riverside Public House as a legal posting for town meeting warrants and other official documents.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the addition of Riverside Public House as a legal posting site for town meeting warrants and other official documents.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Can I just ask, Bob, where are the public sites aside from the Riverside Public House?
The post office would be one, no?
The senior center,
Senior center.
Kelly's Pet Shop. The reason they wanted on that one is there's only in zone 2, there's only one other posting. Everything else is in zone 1.
Okay,
Or
I
vice
just
versa.
want to know, point of
Okay.
reference.
Yep.
I think if people are curious where the other sites are, they can certainly reach out to the town clerk, I believe.
Yeah,
would be able
Heather-
to answer
Heather
that
takes
question.
care of that, yeah.
Heather Hunt.
Okay. Any other further discussions or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Eric, FY '27 budget planning.
Okay, now we get to the fun part of the year. So as we go into budget season, the very first thing the Board of Selectmen really do is determine what the cost of living increase for town employees is. So you have before you a wage matrix of what it would be this year if we assume a 2% cost of living increase. So obviously, most of you know the CPI is running about 2.7% as is the inflation. So the reality is this doesn't keep up with inflation. However, because the town also offers step increases on an annual basis, the combination of the step increase with the 2% cost increase does get employees over the cost of living increase this year. So I think it's a reasonable number, certainly not an overly generous number, but it doesn't really penalize employees either. So that is my recommendation to you, but as a board, I think that's your decision to make.
What would the increase in health costs do to this raise? It would probably lower it quite a bit, wouldn't it?
Well, so the healthcare costs projected for next year, what we're looking at under the Maya insurance is somewhere between 16 and 18%, which that is going to be a big hit to the town. Currently, we're paying about $1.2 million collectively for health insurance for all Dalton employees total. The employees are on the hook for around 27%
of the healthcare costs. So that, increase their cost by 16 to 18%. That is also going to cut into any potential effective increase that they have.
I had a question there. You've given us documentation here going back some 5 years in terms of step increases. So between I just want to be clear, does this apply to everyone in the town's employee, non-union, union?
So it does, but if you look at the A category, 7A, 11A, 12A, and 6A, those line items are specific to the unions. Those are the negotiated rates with those unions, but they do follow our step procedure.
So between steps is 1.75%.
Correct.
Across the board.
Correct.
And so you're proposing a 2% increase in addition to that.
Correct.
So that would bring us up to the typical, and I think of 2.8, what with Social Security. That's what the government is putting out there as a number.
Correct.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
So that gives employees effectively about a 1% raise for every year they're here.
Just one last question, too. In terms of the first step is under the minimum wage of $15 an hour in Massachusetts.
That's why that's highlighted.
Right.
We don't actually have anybody under legal minimum wage in the town of Dalton.
So shouldn't that be amended? I mean, we're out of compliance or out of line with the state minimum wage law.
Well, we would be if we had somebody actually assigned to those steps, but we've always made sure we're not putting somebody in the step where they're making less than minimum wage.
Would it make sense just to set that at 15 anyways?
You could set that at 15,
But then everything else flows from that, right?
but then you're basically, do you set it at 15 and reduce everybody a step so that they still fall in line where they were? Or do you just leave the formula as it is?
I would just suggest starting at 15, first step, and keeping it in place. So if the first step now is $14.91, we're talking 9 cents. It's
So,
not significant. I just want to be in line with the state law. And I project that as the years go on, the minimum wage is going to go up, approaching $20 an hour. So it would behoove us to just get in line as soon as we could. That would be the only change I'd make, recommendation. Other than that, I'm okay with this.
Do that too.
Yeah, it's 9 cents.
Yeah.
For the start of step one. I didn't realize that our step one was below the state minimum wage, which we've never paid anyone below the state minimum wage. Anyways, but point
Correct.
being, we should probably align it, and then I'd imagine everything else is going to need to be adjusted by 9 cents as well.
Yeah, and
Accordingly.
probably in grade A. Sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
That's sensible. So 2% cost of living, 1.75%. I guess we'll call it, what would you call that? Longevity or seniority or step
Yeah,
increase?
that's a step increase.
So effective 3.75. That's what we've been doing since we completed the wage and classification study several years back. Certainly, I think the budget's going to be a challenging one this year. Don't want to put undue strain on it, but I also realize the challenges that our employees certainly face with cost of living and inflation. Currently, at 2.9 CPI?
Well, the CPI is 2.7.
2.7, and then we've got the health insurance increasing as well. I would say we probably have to do at least what we have done in the past for now, 3.75 total. That's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, I'm good with the 2.75, 3.75 with everything.
Okay.
So we can vote on that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we set the cost of living adjustment for town employees to 2% for fiscal year 2027.
I'll second that. Yes.
Okay. The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And step to increase the first.
That's already.
That's already in there.
Oh, yeah, I'll do another vote for, sure.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we set step one, is that grade A?
Step one, grade A.
Step one, grade A, to match the minimum wage of the state of Massachusetts at $15 an hour.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, revenue.
Budget dates.
Well, we got one more on here. We got to go to, oh, budget dates. I'm sorry. Budget dates, budget date, budget dates.
So that's probably also, that's, yeah.
Nothing was presented to budget.
What's that?
Nothing was presented to budget.
Oh, got it. Okay. There's some fee schedule, some
Yeah, fees,
fee schedule changes. Were those
that's coming next.
We'll
on
get
a
to
separate
that.
agenda item?
Yeah, they're the next agenda item down after
Revenue.
budget dates.
Got it. Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Eric, what are you thinking as far as planning meetings for budgets?
So this is January 12th. I would suggest that I will have a reasonably formed budget around the 26th of January, so 2 weeks from today. But that's our regularly scheduled meeting. And the question is, do you want to start the budget discussions at a regularly scheduled meeting, or do you want to schedule a standalone meeting to discuss that?
I'd rather do a standalone for the budget because it's going to take a while.
Okay. So any day the rest of that week that doesn't conflict with other schedules works for me.
Can we go on the first Monday in February?
It could go into the first Monday in February, which is February 2nd also.
Yeah, let's do that.
I believe the school budget will have an initial budget also by the end of January too, so that may be part of our discussion.
Yeah, as I understand it, they presented their initial take at expenditures and big picture items 2 days ago, but they're not, they haven't presented any revenue or any other thing. So until they have both halves and they release that, they won't have that, and they won't have what the actual implication is to the town. Because it depends relatively on what our school-age population is compared to the other communities, what our actual levy is.
And we'll, for the regular 26th meeting, January 26th meeting, Eric, will you have the kind of schedule of budget review for the for the next several months?
So
March.
So that the Board of Finance would very much like to have the budget in their hands around March 1st. So my goal and my suggestion would be the Board of Selectboard, I should say, schedule meetings in February that are however many meetings you feel you need to do your review of the budget to enable it to be turned over to the Board of Finance kind of en masse. And part of the reason why I would prefer to present it as a whole budget as opposed to giving it to both you and the board, the Finance Board in chunks, is that we are going to be so close to the levy limit, just with the increase in the school district, healthcare, and cost of living increase with employees, that we're gonna probably have some choices to make in what gets funded and what doesn't get funded. So it's hard to take any one budget in the absence of everything else. I think we really need to understand the overall budget, so when we review individual department budgets, you can see what effect that has on the total. So that's how I would prefer to do it, but I'm also willing to agree to whatever methodology you want as a board.
I think that's reasonable. So we'll have a meeting on February 2nd. We'll have a regular meeting on the 9th and a regular meeting on the 23rd. We could add the 16th, Monday the 16th if needed,
Yep. Let's plan
just
it.
as a general idea, every Monday in February. Could be the goal.
Yeah, isn't there a Monday holiday in February?
There's President's Day in there somewhere, but I don't think it's a Monday.
When
We
is,
always do it on a Tuesday then.
Yeah.
let's see. That's the 16th.
It is a Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
So-
have a meeting on this Tuesday then.
Yeah.
Actually, well, the regular meeting's 9th and 23rd.
Okay,
Yeah, so we'd add the 17th, Tuesday the 17th.
okay, let's do that.
Is that enough time for you to review the budget?
Yeah, one meeting a week should be sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
To start?
Yeah.
And then we'll ramp up as needed.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, revenue.
So as part of my review of the budget, I look at two aspects. One is what our actual expenses are. And the second thing is what revenue sources we have. So there's information in the packet from the building official, from the town planner, about proposed changes in those two budgets. And what I looked at is essentially the fact that, for instance, the building office should essentially be self-sustaining because their job is really to issue building permits and citations for people who are doing construction. And it's not really fair to everybody else in the town of Dalton to offset, their building, the costs associated with their building. So I asked Brian to give me a permit fee change schedule that does that and makes that office cost neutral, which is essentially what he is doing. So basically, it's kind of two things. It's changing the minimum building fee from $50 to $60, and then changing the cost of work from $5 per thousand to $6 per thousand. And to put it in perspective, the last community I managed, that number was 15 per thousand. So almost 3 times what you're charging now. And we were not an expensive town compared to our neighbors. Per Brian, I had him give me a little cheat sheet of what the surrounding towns do, and putting it up to $6 per thousand is not unreasonable with our surrounding neighbors. So that would be my suggestion on that. And then the other thing I realized is that the town planner was not really accounting for any of his actual labor in terms of setting the fees for special permits and applications of those. We were charging people enough to recoup our costs for mailings and putting the required notifications in the newspaper, but we're not really getting back any of his time, and he spends a lot of time on these applications. So what I've given you is a Board of Appeals application sheet, and on the back of that, a spreadsheet which denotes what we used to charge and what I'm recommending that we charge. At the same time, I'm going to recommend that we stop sending things certified return receipt, and instead we do certified mailings. And the difference is a certified return receipt is over $10. It's $10.30 per letter that we send, and a certified mailing is about $1.50 a pop, something like that. So it's a lot cheaper. And so essentially we would be increasing the application fees on our labor but then doing something that decreases the mailing costs for these. So it's not going to cost the applicant that much more, but we as a town net more money. And the way it works basically is that you mail something as you normally would, but you bring it down to the post office and you pay a surcharge for them to certify the list that you mailed that mail. So it's your proof that you mailed to all those addresses. The post office is acknowledging that everything on your list was sent, which is essentially what you're trying to do with return receipt. And I think actually will get them in the hands of more people, because the real problem with return receipt is a lot of people see that and they refuse to accept it because they don't want to be, they think it's probably bad news, and somehow if they ignore it, it'll go away. So what happens is usually 3 weeks after we do a mailing, we get 15 or 20% of the letters we spent out, paying, $10 a piece to get returned to us as undeliverable. So that's what I'm suggesting. We're also talking with the Board of Health about an increase in some of the Board of Health fees to recapture costs. And also to potentially, we have a lot of business entities that we spend a lot of time, even though all their next year's all their 2026 application in should have been in by January 1. We're spending a lot of time chasing them down. And our health agent, which is BRPC, has basically said a lot of towns say, if you can't get us the information on, they just fine them. And the Board of Health has the ability to do it. So I would suggest we do that. We're not talking about large fines, fining them around $25 for not getting their stuff in on time. But it just recoups our labor hours in chasing them down. So I would suggest that also. And that's really it. That's my plan, is wherever possible, increase the revenue side, but doing it in such a way that we're applying revenue to those who get our services, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes very good sense.
I just have a couple comments, Bob, please. Sure. I think you're right. Aside from the property tax levy and the excise tax, we don't have a lot of options in terms of raising revenues in the community. I'm not so familiar in terms of Yanko and his time frame, and I'm not in terms of our building inspector either, but I did some research in terms of Williamstown and Lee. And they seem to have a more progressive fee schedule. And I'm very much in tune of progressive. That is, the more your outlay is, the more you should pay in fees. For instance, they have it tiered. So the greater the permit, well, you're going to see an additional charge on those fees. Williamstown, for instance, also has a fee for signage, a fee for re-inspections. Again, all time related. And as I understand, the plumbing and building inspector, they're really paid through their fees. I mean, they're self-sustaining, if I'm not mistaken. So I would certainly say to revisit this on a more progressive level, looking at those two communities. It may be that we accept this, but I think there's more that we can look at equitably and fairly in line with our neighbors in terms of a progressive fee schedule. And I don't know, Brian, you could speak to that more because
Yeah, go ahead.
you're in the seat.
Good evening, everyone. Brian DeBell, Board Commissioner. Yeah, there was another aspect to the fee change. The plumbing inspector, the gas inspector, and electrical inspector, and they've all been getting paid just from the permit fees. Whatever, 100% of the fees that come in have been rolled back to them. And since 2013, when we went to the online permitting system, the building department flips the bill for the permit program, which all those permits come out of too. So they're not paying into any part of paying for the permit program. And every month, at the end of the month, I do their money turnovers process their pay requests as the department head. So this is some administrative time that I put in towards that too. So part of my suggestion was to enact a $10 increase for those fees,
Clear.
which would, 'cause the other communities that I work for, any of those inspectors that get paid as like subcontractors, the town either takes like $5 per inspection or a flat $10, like something like $10 per permit that gets kicked back to the town as part of an administrative fee. And we've never done that, so that was one thing I'd like to see, have an increase in those permits that would end up coming back to the town to offset that cost.
Yeah, I'm supportive of that, absolutely. Again, I just would like to see this reviewed in terms of a more progressive schedule with signage, for instance, is, well, to signage, I guess Williamstown will say they have to do an inspection, or there's a fee.
That's all in place here.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that here. I
We have
don't.
sign permits here.
Okay, all right. Well,
And we have re-inspection fees.
very good. I didn't see
So that
that.
part was all already in there.
Okay,
I mean,
all
if
right.
you're talking about raising the, estimated thing more than $6 per thousand, that would be something different.
Well,
But, I think that's pretty in line
so
on the $6.
as a percent, how much do you think we'd increase our revenue by this new schedule?
I know Eric ran the numbers, just like of what the building costs were, raising it from the $5 per thousand to $6 per thousand. And we've been running in the building department pretty consecutively at about a $10,000 deficit.
Yeah.
When you take my budget and what we recoup back in fees, that's pretty much the standard. So he ran the numbers preliminary.
Well, thanks, I see.
And really just with that one
Yeah.
change alone,
Yeah.
pretty much covered that.
Yeah.
Well, all the changes we're talking about in terms of the building official, which is charging $10 for everything that needs a subcontractor, which would be gas permits, plumbing, and mechanical.
Can't like
Oh, sorry. The total increase is just under 12,000.
Yeah.
So we're increasing it about 15%, but we're increasing it with the objective of meeting our costs in that department, which is really, I think, what our objective has to be. Not to overcharge people, but to charge people what their services actually cost.
Yeah, we need to at least break even. And this gets us there. So it's a great step in the right direction. I don't know that we should spend more time on this right now.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, we should probably approve this if that's the will of the board, and move on to other items. But yeah, it's about a 15% increase. But again, it's to cover the actual costs that we incur so we don't lose money on our permitting and building inspection efforts.
I'm okay with moving on. I just like more information. I'd like to compare us to other communities nearby, just to see where we stand. But I'll move this forward.
Okay. Motion, Dan.
And so the motion's going to be to accept the fee structure as presented,
Okay.
I think.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded.
There we go.
Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Eric, updates and status of capital planning committee.
I think Don is here, so I will defer to Don on that as the
No,
chair.
this is a,
Oh, capital planning commission. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. So, at this point, we have selected all the members of the capital planning commission. As you know, per the original bylaws, which were finally approved by the Attorney General's office at the end of December. So this is the first meeting after they've been approved. So I'm on the commission as an ex officio member, as is the planning board, a member of the planning board, and 2 members of the finance committee. Those are ultimately they're my selection, but I have chosen in both cases to accept the will of the finance committee when they selected their 2 members, and the will of the planning board. So the finance committee selected Karen Schmidt and Tom Irwin. The planning board nominated Dennis Crockwell. I always pronounce his name wrong. Also on the board, by virtue of their position, is the town planner, which is Yanko, the principal assessor, Lee Nunez, and the town accountant, and I put / finance director, because at the moment, since we don't have a town accountant, temporarily I'm appointing Sandy Albano to that position. For the two at-large selections, which are per the bylaw are mine to make, I appointed Ken Walto, because I think he has great institutional knowledge about capital planning in the past from the town, being a predecessor for 19 years in this position. And the second was Dan Esco, because I do feel it's important that a Board of Selectmen member be on that commission. And so everybody has accepted. We're looking at trying to schedule a meeting as soon as we can to get working on the capital planning. To kind of jumpstart things, I gave both the Public Works Director, the police chief, and also the building and grounds person essentially a draft of what information I wanted from them to start the process of capital planning. As you know, Bud's responsible in Public Works for an awful lot of equipment. So I asked for essentially an equipment matrix of what they have, which they provided, and then made some suggestions on what information we needed from planning going forward. I did the same thing with the police chief, and I did the same thing with building and grounds. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, we'll start to get information in to the committee. I don't think it's going to be a fast process to come up with full-blown 5-year plans for everything that we need. I'm anticipating, essentially one for bridges, one for culverts, one for MS4 stormwater, one for roads, one for sidewalks, along with a complete streets plan. And then the buildings and grounds, because obviously we have an awful lot of issues related to that, which are going to be major capital funding, and vehicles, both in the police department, vehicles and equipment from police department and public works. So that's underway. I don't think we're going to have enough information to have a full-blown plan in time for this budget season. I think it's reasonable to expect by next fall we'll have capital planning well in hand. And my goal in this has always been to identify all of the capital needs of the town of Dalton, both in equipment and in buildings, and in infrastructure in general. And then from that information, figure out what our costs for each item, and then have the committee start prioritizing, because clearly we're going to have a lot more capital needs than we can ever potentially fund. And then once we've done that, that informs the budget process as well as what we go after for grant funding. So that's basically how I'm proceeding with that, unless you have anything.
I have two questions.
Go ahead.
Here.
Shoot.
The first one, all those members that you've listed are voting members?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was a question I had, because I'm used to being an ex officio member of lots of boards and commissions and not having voting privileges. But I went back and looked at this actual bylaw, and it does not say that. So every member there technically is a voting member of that commission.
That's interesting, but okay. The second thing is, the largest capital outlay is really for our public schools. And somehow they're always sort of neglected or unobserved. Somehow they're going to have capital projects also, which we're going to be responsible for. I don't know how they would work into this capital planning, but I'd certainly invite the business manager, Greg Boino, or one of central office to sit in to have a discussion in terms of informing the capital planning. Here's what we're doing for Dalton, but in fact, the school is going to impact that capital planning also.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. And in the original planning document I sent out, I said that we would be asking for capital plans from both the superintendent's office of the school as well as the fire district, because obviously both of those directly impact our budget, and we need to know their, multi-year capital plans also, so we can understand how, that's going to affect us. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Okay. Excellent. Any other questions? No. Okay, Eric, update on town accounting position.
So we've advertised for the position, and the second half of that is in the short term. I am looking for an accounting firm or a retired town accountant that can give us a hand to bridge the gap and catch up with where we are on reconciliation to keep us in line for this budget season. I've talked to 3 firms at this point that all could probably provide services, some more than others. There's 2 more on my list that I want to have, and I'm planning on scheduling interviews with those firms in the next couple of weeks so we can line somebody up. And I'm sure I will be bringing that back to both you and Board of Finance, because that will need to be budgeted for.
And we've advertised for the position.
We've advertised for the position of town planner, or not town planner, town accountant.
Right.
We haven't advertised for the accounting help.
No, that's what I meant. For the position itself.
Yes.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
That we've advertised for.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on that? Thank you, Rick. Okay, 13. Updates and discussion pertaining to the personal policies and administrative procedures handbook.
Okay, so since the last time the Board of Selectmen approved the personnel policies and personnel handbook, the board asked the previous town manager to send it to KP Law and have them review it also before we went live, which is appropriate because they're the ones that are going to defend us in court. If we get grieved over something we put in the policy. So I received those. Almost all of the comments were simply slight changes in verbiage that didn't change intent, and I just accepted those. But there were roughly 6 items on there that I thought really should be brought back to the board, because I want to make sure that's actually kind of what you intended in most cases. And a couple of them come from things that I really think we should be instituting as a town. So I'll go down the list and I apologize that the PDF document we gave you originally didn't actually show the comments from Tim, so I apologize for that. You've all gotten the comment or the sheet with his comments. So basically the first one is, currently we reimburse employees for training and certifications that are necessary or beneficial in their job. The one thing we've never done at this point is pay for public works employees that get their CDL training. Ideally, we would hire people that already have a CDL as a public works employee, but it's been a while since we, as a town, have been able to find somebody that already had it. So ordinarily what we're doing is we're hiring them, say, okay, Now you got 6 months to get your CDL license. Go find yourself a place to do it and pay for it, and then come back with your certification and we'll keep employing you. What I think is appropriate is that the town pays the cost of the CDL for the employee, but we change it to require that the employee pay us back the cost of the CDL if they do not stay for more than X amount of time. And I would suggest 1 year, but in a previous town, we made it longer. We had it prorated over 3 years. Towns are doing something somewhere in the middle. So that would be my first suggestion for a change in.
Can we address these as you go through the list, or do you want us to wait, Eric, till the?
Whatever is your pleasure.
Okay. I'd like to know the cost of that, and I'd also, when you say they'll reimburse us if they don't stay, I know the DPW, even now, we have an opening. It's a revolving door. I'd like to create an incentive that they stay. I'd like to know the cost of that incentive, and I don't know the process, how we would ask for reimbursement. That would seem to me to be pretty tricky, wouldn't it? I mean,
From the last pay.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what we would end up doing is withholding from their last pay, and also we tend to pay out employees for a portion of their unused sick days and other things. So are we necessarily going to get 100% of it back? No. If the guy jumps in the first year and he's used up all his vacation days and a lot of his sick days, no, we probably don't have a mechanism for getting the full thing back.
could the thought be that we say that after 6 months of employment, that initial honeymoon period, then we offer you that CDL, what with, the Bud as supervisor saying thumbs up, something like that, rather than just jump into the job? Would that be maybe a wiser way to approach that?
Well, we need them to get their CDL license sooner rather than later, because without a CDL license, that really restricts what equipment they can run. They can't, because all our vehicles have commercial plates, so they currently couldn't tow any trailer without a CDL license, and they can only drive the F-550s and below without that. So it's certainly in our best interest to get them that as fast as possible. And the second thing is a lot of the Public Works employees that are there, there's only, I believe, 1 or 2 employees out of the whole department that have their Class A license with a towing endorsement for a Pinto. And that's problematic because we've got a bunch of equipment that we only have 2 people in the entire department that can technically drive it around. So I think it would behoove us to do everything we can to get the people that have CDL Class Bs to get their CDL Class As with Pinto. And I think it's also in our best interest to be able to offer to a new employee, because that's a stumbling block, that doesn't have the CDL and say, okay, we'll pay for training, but you got to agree to stick around for a while.
And what's the cost? I'm just curious.
I think it's, for just a Class B, it's around $1,500 to $2,000. Probably at least another $700 to get your CDLA with Pinto, because it requires more both on the road time as well as classroom time.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, Rick?
I think I'm generally in support of the idea, but I would certainly want to talk about the length of time that they would need to stay as part of that agreement, possibly greater than a year. You had suggested maybe a year, but other places maybe do 3. Just obviously if they leave before then, it'd be prorated, but what do you think? I mean, 1 year seems maybe too little, in my opinion, but.
Yeah, I also agree. I like the sliding scale for 3 years.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I just want you to know that under both our current policy and the policy you approved, other than for CDL drivers, it's already 1 year. So if you want to do it, you should probably make it fair across all employees. If somebody that's a professional, wants a refund for a course or training, then at the same time, that same time restriction should apply to all employees, not just have a different one for Public Works. That would be my suggestion. So if you want to make it a sliding scale for 3 years, we could do that. I would just suggest we do it across the board for employees.
Well, let's keep it in line with how we treat everyone else, but I'd certainly like to know at the end of that year who stays and who goes, who takes advantage of that, and I'd like to know how that reimbursement's going to work. So I'm willing to try it, but I'd certainly like to have a report back years hence
Okay.
for those that do.
If we're going to equalize it across all employees, is that something you would want to present at a future meeting or discuss tonight?
I mean, if you tell me the parameters that you want that imposed on, I can certainly change the language to match whatever period of time you have.
Well, right now it's a year for other people. It's a year now.
Correct.
So I'm suggesting that we do it for this instance also, but with the caveat that we revisit it to see just how it plays out. Who stays, who goes, how we're going to be reimbursed if indeed they do go.
Does this also affect the union employees?
Yes, this would affect everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need to look at that in more detail across the board rather than just making a decision right now. Is this something that we have more time to decide, or are you looking for a decision on this CDL training tonight?
I'm not looking for, it's whenever you want to put this policy into effect. So I would rather take the time to make a good decision and you be happy with it than try to rush it
Originally,
through
this is going to
tonight.
happen on July 1st, correct?
Say again?
This is supposed to take effect July 1st.
Some of the things take effect July 1st. The remainder would take effect as soon as the policy is put in place.
Well, I'd move that we accept it as presented with the caveat that we revisit it.
I'll second that.
Okay, I can live with that.
And now that we're in discussion, when would you like to revisit it? Prior to the beginning of the next fiscal year, correct?
Yeah.
In the next
Yeah.
several months on an agenda?
Yeah, 6 months hence. Let's see how it goes, right?
Okay?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, up on page 18, the second question was, I know we talked about it before, but was changing from weekly payroll to biweekly payroll. I get that some employees like the luxury of being paid every week, but it frees up an awful lot of personnel time to only do this every 2 weeks instead of 1 week. So my suggestion is that we put it right in the policy, since we've already kind of announced to the unions and to the employees that we're going to do it. We ought to put it in the policy now. So that's what question number 2 is implementing biweekly pay periods, as well as requiring employees to direct deposit checks. And from my perspective, the only people that should not fall under that are election workers, because they're paid extremely infrequently, and they don't necessarily fall under standard payroll because they're exempt from paying most taxes, as a federal carve-out.
Sounds good.
What's the employee response been for biweekly pay periods?
Mixed. They're not,
It's a
some are
change.
happy.
Yeah.
It's change. Every bit of change is hard.
Yeah.
But, and as far as direct deposit, employee-wide, we're down to 4 employees. Pretty soon we'll be down to 3 employees that are not direct deposit. So we're not forcing a ton of people to change. But,
That would be the one area that I might disagree. If there's someone, I'd imagine there's got to be somebody who doesn't have a bank account, potentially. What would you do if an employee said, I do not have a bank account?
I think in today's basis, it would be pretty hard to imagine any employee not having an actual bank account.
I suppose. Okay.
Do you want to vote on this? You want to move it, Dan, or not?
We can wait till the end, or we can do them individually, whatever
I
your
think we can
pleasure
move
is.
one at a time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can make the motion and then talk a little more about it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the implementation of biweekly pay periods, as well as requiring employees to direct deposit checks, effective, Mr. Town Manager, effective
That would be effective July 1.
July 1st, 2026.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I would just want to clarify that, yes, there's an impact on the employee with changing this pay schedule, but I think it really is in the best interest of the town to be more efficient and conserve costs, reduce costs, and ultimately that's the job that we are elected to do, is to make decisions hopefully in the best interest of the town. So I would support this.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, question number 3 was page 21 of the personnel policy. And the way this policy is written is that an employee who's not scheduled to work on a holiday still essentially gets to observe that holiday and get paid for it, or observe it on a later date when they are working. And it's a valid point. That's kind of an odd, if you have a holiday that occurs when you're not working, should you automatically get paid for it? That's really a board question. How do you want to approach that? Certainly in the past, in my previous town, we did not. If a holiday fell on your normal working schedule, you automatically observed that holiday and got paid for it.
Right.
If you weren't working on the holiday anyway, I don't see why the town is paying you when you weren't working then anyway. It's just like paying somebody for the weekend when they don't work the weekend, in my head.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, we didn't get this till just today. So looking at this, I saw it with Lori also, is that it may have to be revisited in the sense that we also have the day after Thanksgiving, which is a Friday, where the town isn't operating on a Friday. So there's a holiday that people aren't supposed to come into work. So I'm a bit, betwixt and between here. I almost like to.
Remember, there are an awful lot of employees that work,
Yeah.
Public Works, the police, myself.
Yeah.
There are quite a number of employees that Jeff, as the building manager, we have a lot of employees that do work that Friday.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I didn't see this till just, can we revisit this and give us your opinion on this, studied opinion on this in terms of what you would recommend, what you see other communities doing? That's how I feel. I'm just not informed enough I have more questions, I think, than answers.
Sure.
Just a point of clarity. Currently, let's say Christmas falls on a Friday this year, actually, okay? Are you proposing that employees are not regularly scheduled on Friday, Christmas Day this year, not receive that paid holiday, or they cannot take that paid holiday in the future as a floating one?
So that's a good question. I mean, it kind of depends what you as a board want to do. I don't have strong feelings on it either way. I mean, if a holiday was on a Saturday. Normally, those holidays are observed on the state calendar on the Friday. And if you didn't work Fridays anyway, I wouldn't think you would be getting that off. But currently it appears that, as I understand it, that's what happens here most of the time. It seems kind of nebulous in our policies, and I looked at our existing policies, and as an outsider, I couldn't figure out whether I should be giving people the day off or not.
And we also have a floating holiday,
Correct.
so I don't know
What
what
I
that
would
means.
suggest is for all full-time employees, these holidays are paid whether you work that day or not. And it's paid that week or that payroll period, and it can't be used as a floating holiday. They still get the benefit of a paid day, regardless. Because paid holidays don't kick people into overtime, so if they already worked 40 hours and they get Christmas Day off, and it's paid, they just get extra pay at the regular rate. Is my understanding, but maybe we need to look at that a little more.
Yeah, I propose we table this till Eric looks at it, gets back to us a little bit more clarity.
I mean, I'm not clear what information you want back.
Maybe a rewrite of the policy with a concrete suggestion, because right now it was just a comment from the town attorney on the current policy, but I
Right.
don't see an actual recommendation or a new policy language.
Right.
Well, I think his suggestion would be to strike that completely, but you said you think it's appropriate that they do get paid for that, in which case we would just ignore his comment.
Well, no, because the current policy says that they can observe the holiday on a later date. I'm proposing that we do away with that, but we still pay them for that holiday as a benefit.
Okay.
Does that seem reasonable?
I don't know what's reasonable, other than, I'm going to go back, Dan, to tabling it, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's fine.
That's we, I like that.
And we're missing two board members, no less,
Sure.
too.
Okay. All right. Okay, updates regarding Berkshire Regional Planning.
We have three questions.
There's three questions
We're not
left.
done,
Oh, I
Bob,
thought we were going
unfortunately.
to table that.
Oh, no, just that question. Just that question, I'm sorry.
All right.
We have 4, 5, and 6?
Yep.
Well, 4 may need to be tabled as well. We might want the rest of the board's opinion on this
Yeah,
particular.
that's fine by me.
And the
also.
question was, well, I guess, Mr. Town Manager, you can read the question, I suppose.
Sure. So the question becomes defining when we pay out employees for unused vacation. It appears that our policy that if an employee who gets 6 weeks of vacation a year decides to take no vacation that year, technically we're on the hook to pay them 6 extra weeks of salary at the end of the year, which is not something we budgeted for. So do we think that's appropriate? I'm okay with allowing employees to roll vacation from one year to another up to a certain amount, but I'm not really okay with paying them out because the whole objective is to giving them vacation time is to get them out of here and clear their heads so they can be better employees. I mean, that's why you give vacation time really is, so you recharge people and they're effective when they are working. I mean, if you look at it from a hard-nosed perspective. So I think this causes us budget problems at the end of the year when suddenly somebody, you have a salary line item that's now 6 weeks more pay than it would have been if they took vacation. So that's his concern with it, and I do agree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't
That's
know how the
reasonable.
board feels.
My thought was, given my experience in the public sector, is it's unusual to pay anybody vacation until you've separated or retired from service.
I concur.
And oftentimes, the payback is not at the full rate. It's at a lesser rate to encourage people to take that vacation. Or if they so choose not to, then they're going to be reimbursed at a lesser rate. So again, I'm willing to table this also, seeing that two board members aren't here, and they should weigh in, and I'll take your opinion on that too, and we'll give you our opinion hopefully in the interim.
Yeah, I would certainly support amending that policy, unused vacation to be paid out at when an employee leaves the employment of the town, but at no other time prior to that, to encourage that they actually use their vacation time during the year, and we don't create a budget, a negative budget situation, particularly this year, that will be, coming up close to the levy limit. I don't think we can afford to do this anymore. Are we going to table that, though?
Table. I don't think we have to vote
With
on
the
the
other
table,
question.
do we? When we
No.
table, we don't have to vote, yeah.
Yep. So the next one is, oh, it didn't print out in red. Damn. So basically what my suggestion is right now, I believe it's 14 days. You can be sick for 14 days before you have to show any proof whatsoever to the town that you were actually sick. I would think it would be more appropriate to go to 7 days. I think even that's long. Most entities I've worked for, that number is usually 4. Now, I think 4 is a little short because you can have a cold and easily be out 4 days if you were really sick or a stomach bug. But I don't think 14 is the appropriate number. If you're sick and you can't go to work for 13 days straight, you should certainly being seen by a physician.
Is this 7 calendar days or 7 work days?
I would have said 7 calendar days.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 week.
I was going to say 5 days a week period, but I'm not going to mince words. If it's 7.
Calendar
that-
days is
yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm not sure, considering that we're tabling 2 of these, well, for more information, 1, but 2, to give other members an opportunity, board members, to weigh in. At the same time, I feel like this one's pretty self-explanatory, straightforward. We could probably vote on this tonight.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the town manager's recommendation on question 5, page 23 in the employee personnel policy manual to reduce from 14 days to 7 days the time in which you would need to provide a physician's note, clarify the section regarding additional sick leave.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
So question number 6 is on page 31, and it regards, parental leave. So basically what the policy says at this point is in any 12-month period, an employee may take up to 8 months of unpaid parental leave. I think if you had a big corporation and you had lots of people doing the same job, that might be appropriate. But I don't think a town could go, let's say a treasurer or, a town planner took 8 months of unpaid leave. You would have to fill that position in the interim.
Yep.
If you make it a couple months, I think you could probably live with it and make the gap. So that seems excessive to me. And apparently it did to the attorney also. He indicated that kind of the standard and what the state law requires is 8 weeks. And he wondered whether that was actually a typo, that had been meant to be. So that's why I'm bringing it to your attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says, since the law only requires 8 weeks.
Just a comment, there's statutory leaves in terms of the state and federal government, in terms of the Family Medical Act leave, which I think would be more than appropriate here, which is up to 12 weeks where you're provided with COBRA and all that. There's also the Domestic Violent Leave Act, and there's also the Massachusetts Parental Leave Act. I'd like to see all those as statutory leave acts included in this. So it is up to 12 weeks Family Medical Leave Act really covers a 12-week period, and that's typical of public employees over a certain, and private over a certain number. So I like to see all three of those simply substituted in for this 8-month period that we have now. And just note statutory leaves in terms of the law. Family Medical Act leave, Domestic Violent Leave Act, and the Massachusetts Parental Leave Act.
So you want to see all three of those in the policy?
It's statutory. I mean, it's the law. So we're abiding by the law, and all three of those laws are applicable here in terms of parental leave.
So again, on this question,
So in that case, you could just leave it at 8 months, and you know you're well in excess of everybody else if that's what you want to do.
No,
no, no.
No, I don't want, no, I don't want 8 months. I want the 3-month period.
3 months.
3 months. And that's what those three leaves, in effect, family medical is a 8-week period. 8 to 12 week period, excuse me. I think Mass is 8. I think family medical is 12 weeks. 3 months, yes. And sometimes,
yeah, what was your suggestion? Because I don't see that. That was going to be my comment. Was I see a question? 8 months seems to be too much, but what were you proposing?
I would have probably said no more than half of that. You know, from an administrator perspective, you know, it's very difficult to lose an employee for more than that period of time without replacing them. And it's pretty hard to replace them because we're too small to allow somebody back the equivalent job. You know, if it was a public works employee or something like that, potentially you could. But for a lot of the administrative functions we have where there's a single department head, you know, if you have an upper echelon employee, you can't really afford for them to be out that long without replacing.
I'm good with 3 months.
yeah, I would be good with 3 months, and I'd make the recommendation, as I've said, in terms of statutory leaves, the Family Medical Leave Act, the Domestic Violence Leave Act, and the Massachusetts Parental Leave Act. And the employee can choose accordingly, which would be up to a 3-month period with the Family Medical Leave Act, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it should align with the Paid Family Medical Leave Act.
So you're good with 3 months?
Well, I would like to get the feedback of other board members on this one.
Okay, you want to table it, Dan? Others?
Yeah, let's table this one,
Okay,
please.
that
Okay.
sounds good, yeah.
Thank you. I'll give you a revised personnel policy with the changes you adopted.
Thank you.
Okay. Updates regarding Berkshire Regional Planning Commission Housing Study Grant submission.
So I wrote the initial, if you remember, the board of the select board, not authorized me, but asked me to submit a grant to BPRC to update the housing study. So I've written the grant. I first had a preliminary discussion with Yanko in the chair of the planning board, because ultimately this is a guide for them in making actual regulatory changes or proposing regulatory changes through a bylaws change. So we met and I got all their comments and what they wanted to accomplish with this. I wrote a draft. The draft has been given to Yanko and Zach, the chair of the policy board. Yanko and I were discussing his comments about an hour before this meeting. I can certainly send you all on the board a draft of what I'm proposing to send to BPRC or BRPC for that. I also had a conversation with the project administrator for that grant project to make sure that lined up with what their recommendations are, and he was pretty excited about it. He said basically that's exactly the kind of application they want to see. His only concern with it was that he doesn't think they can start, based on their commitments so far, that they can start, until sometime around June of this year. And I assured him that, we're prepared to wait another 4 months to start the study as long as we don't have to pay for it. So this does not require a town match other than the time town employees end up working on it and providing information.
Great.
So that's basically the update on that.
Will we hear back from them, or is it assumed that it's going to go forward, or wait and see?
He kind of told me point blank if we submitted that officially, that's a fundable project that we would get funded.
Great.
And it would not be an issue.
Thank you.
That it was a good enough submission that, that met their requirements.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, all good. Okay. Number 16, approve agreement between Berkshire Regional Planning Commission as a host agency for Berkshire Public Health Alliance. Oops, I'm sorry, I skipped one. I'm trying to move it along. Is there a football game on? Discuss and authorize the town manager to sound a memorandum of understanding between the town of Dalton and the town of Dalton Dispatchers Association related to backup for the Director of Communications.
So the Director of Communications originally approached Terry Williams about 6 months ago with a proposal. Her concern is that since she's been the director, there's never been an official number 2 for that position, so she's on call 24/7, even when she's on vacation. And she said what she would like to do is establish somebody for coverage only during those times when she's not able to communicate, i.e. when she's on vacation going forward. I thought that was appropriate, but I also thought that since the person she thought it would be appropriate to apply it to was a union position, that I would feel most comfortable if I had an actual memorandum of understanding between the town and the union to allow that. Because the last thing I want to do is give one member of a union something and then get grieved over it. So we kind of negotiated a memorandum of understanding, and the Dalton Dispatchers Association signed it. Now, if you think as a board that it's appropriate, you would sign it as well.
Okay.
I just have a question. So I know you've mentioned the dispatcher by name. Is this specific to the dispatcher or to the agreement, that is the wage salaries schedule?
So it's currently applicable to just a single individual, but I would suspect that if Dispatcher Ballardini for some reason left and we no longer had her, that we would probably end up designating one of the other people as the fill-in.
Okay.
And just adjust the MOU to that second person.
Yeah. So just to be clear to the public, it's a 3.5%, approximate 3.5% bump up.
Correct.
In terms of the additional dollars required per hour. Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be that clear. Okay.
Are you good with that?
Yep.
Okay, motion, please.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Dalton and the Dalton Dispatchers Association as presented.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I can sign this one right here. Question. No? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now we can go to 16. Let's see. Approve the agreement between Berkshire Regional Planning Commission as host agency for the Berkshire Public Health Alliance and the town of Dalton for public health nursing services effective July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2029, and authorize the town manager to sign the agreement.
So the multi-year deal between the town of Dalton and BRPC regarding the public health nurse is expiring this year. So my suggestion, they sent us a follow-on contract to provide the same services they have been providing, and they list a fee schedule for FY 27, 28, and 29. So it's approximately an annual price increase of 4% over that period of time. That's what they've offered to provide the service for.
Do you know if there was any hiccups in the service that you were provided? I had not heard any.
Not on the health nurse side. We haven't had any issues that I know of. Sorry.
And I presume the Board of Health is in support of renewing the agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agreement between the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and the town of Dalton for the Regional Public Health Nursing Services.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, I have on here a petition to Select Board regarding mobile ADUs and regulations. Is there anybody here that wants to speak on that? Oh, then we move on.
Okay, I just was bringing to your attention that there is an active petition circulating to recommend to the Select Board that they refer it back to the Planning Board. Don't know what your opinions are on. I don't think they're ready to present it right now, but you should be aware that that's probably
Okay,
coming.
yeah, we really can't act on it until we see the petition.
Yeah, I
Right.
think if the petition were presented and the petitioner were to present, then we would have something to consider.
Sure.
Okay.
That was solely a heads up so that you knew it was coming.
So,
And you
I
could,
didn't know if it was going to be a presentation or what. That's okay. Okay. Number 18, Department Head Monthly Reports.
so this is something I thought was appropriate to institute going forward because from what I've seen of the packets, although on a fairly regular basis, a department head presents to the board what they do, on a regular ongoing basis, there really isn't that information presented to the board. I may know it, but you don't, and you probably should. So we asked that all the department heads produce a concise one-page report summarizing what they've done for the month and what the issues are. So, and I'm working with the boards to adjust some of the information that's in there, but I would also like your feedback on what information you want to see and what you as a board think is important that you get to be able to do your jobs.
I absolutely have to tell you, I love this. This is actually great. If we know what's going on, it keeps us in the loop, because there's been many times we hear rumors and stuff, and we have to go digging. We got it right here.
Yep.
I think it's great, but I worry about the amount of time the department heads will spend on this every month, and I'd be fine seeing something like this on a quarterly basis.
Okay. I mean, I will tell you that, one of the things we put out to all the department heads was that we wanted a very short, concise list of the major topics, not in depth on any one thing. And like, for instance, with with Brian Duvall, we looked at a bunch of different things he could supply to the town. The simplest is just the concise monthly report that he can spit right out of the computer program. So the goal here is that the majority of these things are, once they have a format, it's just fill out the information every month. You're right, I don't want people tied up very long writing these, but I want you to have the information.
Yeah, I would like the monthly one.
Yeah, yeah. I do. I think it's great. Matter of fact, just referencing in terms of, building permits, I was looking earlier for this, but we had 10 residential permits totaling some 255,000, and fees were less than 0.5%. And so, again, that was an impetus for me to say, let's be more progressive. Dispatch calls, over 1,000 calls for Dalton. That's pretty remarkable when you think of that. And then, of course, the police report. And this is all public knowledge, of course, how many calls were logged on the first, second, and third shifts, totaling in the hundreds, and medical calls included in that. So I think it's more than appropriate. I would even ask that once it is approved by this board, it goes up on our website, our new website, because again, transparency and communication being the modus operandi here, people can see. For what we see, the public should see.
So please continue.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any information that's in here that you don't want to see? Or is there other information that's not presented to you that you do want to see?
I really want to digest these first.
Okay.
I like numbers. I like numbers. I like charts.
Numbers.
Graphs.
Yep. Pretty pictures.
Great.
Thank you. That's good.
I think with your coaching, get to a place where this hopefully doesn't take up, too much time, but
Yeah.
On a monthly basis.
Okay. Forward. Okay. BCC response to DEP listed deficiencies. Okay. Who has it? You got that?
I do, Bob. Okay, I'm going to start from going back to the beginning of the year in terms of statements that were issued by the Board of Health and the zoning enforcement officer. DEP is currently reviewing the application made by BCC in terms of their equipment operations. And it's been just over 6 months. BCC asked for an extension into January. It's still under review by the DEP. It's on their website. And they've included information which I'd like to speak to here. And I'll read the letter, and there are attachments here, but I think it may be self-explanatory. I also want to thank Richard Hall on the Clean Air Committee. He helped me, and we collaborated, so to speak. But in any event, this is to Mark Simpson, Air Permit Section Chief, Western Regional Office, Department of Environmental Protection, from, I would hope, the Dalton Selectboard regarding application number so-and-so. Date accordingly. We are writing to you in regards to Berkshire Concrete Corporation's, BCC's, response to your office's DEP letter of administrative deficiencies relating to aggregate operations by BCC located on Bridle Road in Dalton, Massachusetts. See attachments. And those attachments are what have been provided by a third party, Atlas organization in West Springfield, who's a third party for BPC, addressing these deficiencies. BCC states, quote, this operation occurs on 5 parcels owned by BCC, parcel ID 10125, 10512, 10516, 10655-1, and 217.3. These parcels with property boundaries and location of the dig area and processing plant can be found in Figure 1 uploaded as a separate document. Again, this is provided by Atlas to the DEP. Quote, the operation includes excavating, quote, bank run fill in an approved, quote, dig area. This representation is incorrect. The Dalton Planning Board has only approved aggregate operations via special permit for parcels 106-55-1 and 217.3. The Planning Board has not approved aggregate operations for parcels 101-25, 105-12, and 105-16. In fact, the Planning Board is currently reviewing the special permit by BCC to conduct operations on these 3 unpermitted parcels. BCC's statement that excavation of, quote, bank run fill has been, quote, excavated in an, quote, approved dig area marked by a, quote, X on the accompanying map is false. While BCC mined 10516 for some 2.5 years since December of 2023, permitting for 10516 was found to be invalid. Complaints by neighbors related to the aggregate operations during this period was brought before our community. BCC is currently under an order to abate nuisance conditions dated March 12, 2025 by the Dalton Board of Health. The Dalton Zoning Enforcement Officer also issued a cease and desist order dated February 20th, 2025 for aggregate operations on parcels 10516. Furthermore, BCC has been directed by the Zoning Board of Appeals via the Zoning Enforcement Officer to restore 105-16 to standards delineated in Section 350-16 of the Dalton bylaws. The statements by BCC in this matter are misleading. I respectfully ask that we respectfully ask that your office investigate and hold BCC accountable in light of the information provided herein. Copy Dalton Planning Board, Dalton Town Planner, Dalton Board of Health, Dalton Zoning Enforcement Officer, Dalton Clean Air Committee, and I should correct this, Attorney Dennis Egan, not Richard Egan. So, in effect, the response that BCC has made to the DEP, we should claim, is inaccurate, it's mistaken. They do not have a valid permit. It's under, as we all know, the permitting as we know it now. And I'd like this to be a response from our Dalton Select Board to Mark Simpson. I would call Mark Simpson and alert him to this and certainly forward this on to his attention. It's still under review, so it's not right that they've made claim to really what are falsehoods. I don't know if that makes sense to the board.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally makes sense.
The one question I would have is, we can certainly take a vote on this. I'm curious why the planning board, why it wouldn't maybe come from the planning board instead being the permitting authority, but I'm okay making a decision.
I think, Dan, just as a background, I've been in communication as chair of the Clean Air Committee, as the Clean Air Committee is very much aware with Mark Simpson and following this along. And so this application number, anyone can pull up on their site
Yeah.
and see the documentation, and it's what we're addressing in this letter.
Sounds good. Did you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we support this letter with amendments as noted to send to Mark Simpson and to the care of or copy these various departments and Attorney Dennis Egan.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Richard, did you want to comment? You said you wanted to speak.
No, if there was just any questions.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You sign that?
Oh, no, well, I think it has to be retyped, to be
Okay.
honest with you,
Okay.
Lori. I'll
We can come by and sign it this week.
I'll let you know.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, next. Reschedule joint meeting with the Water Commission.
I reached out to Jim Driscoll a couple times and have not heard back from him. The dates that we were currently proposing were January 20th, I believe. No, the day after Martin Luther King holiday. Yes, because we originally agreed on January 19th, and then we realized it was the holiday, so we had to go back. So we proposed January 20th and February 1st, which now February 1st is going to be a budget meeting, so I don't think
Okay.
that's.
Yeah, if you can coordinate it, they just let us know, okay? Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
No, it's fine. Moving on.
Okay. PSFAC status. Okay. Who's going to speak on it?
For the audience, that's a
That
Public
would be Don.
Safety Facility Advisory Committee.
So we got informal updates from our architect on the single floor drawing, the remodel of the town hall, we shot it there, and the approximate cost on that. And we're hopefully going to have all of our information compiled for February meeting, so we'll try to get you a report.
We appreciate it, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Anybody got any questions, comments?
I have a comment, not so much for you, Don. I hope Henry would have been here, but Henry mentioned the notion of regionalization and looking to Hinsdale in terms of what's just gone on recently. But we did reach out when I was on board to Hinsdale. It was not well received, so we even met with our state rep in terms of that, and that could have gone that way, but it did not. So we've done some due diligence here. It has not been stone that hasn't been turned.
It's been very difficult, and one of the biggest things is I think that we've been tasked, and our task keeps changing.
Yeah.
And we don't need no more.
No, we don't need a moving
Finish
target.
this off, then figure out which way you guys want to go, and just try to help get you there. Okay?
All right, Don, keep up the good work.
And one last thing, and the last meeting I attended, Don, so this isn't a surprise to the board members, but we now have one vacancy, and I would like to have that on the future agenda item in terms of that vacancy being filled, if indeed, I think that it's still June of this year that your committee is still on board.
I'm hoping that if we can finish up soon enough, fine, but if it's gonna run into a few more meetings, there's a lot of information you guys gotta understand. We started this July of '24.
Yeah.
And, you know, the committee members have worked tirelessly, and a lot of ground has been covered in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
Along with detours that just keep getting put in.
Yeah. I'm just nervous with the loggerheads of 2-on-2 sometimes, that that additional member would help address that.
From, I think, from the town manager's office or whatever, to me, there was a couple of people, Dennis Rockwell and George Morell, that showed interest. So, you know, that would be something we bring up to the committee in February at our meeting.
Well, I'd ask for letters of interest for this board to move towards filling that slot, so.
Well, there's two members, there's two people right there that
Yeah.
reached out.
Very good, thanks. Tom.
Okay, thank you. I'll see. Al, you want to speak on this?
Yes, I did.
Thanks, Don.
My legs have been standing still so.
Your leg cramps, did you? We all did.
Al Nato, 24 Avenue. I've been pushing this on where the police station should go almost since the day they started with the study. But before I do that, I would like to say, this, I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth, but what you guys are doing, talking to the town manager, should have been done at a working session open to the public, rather than taking up a regular selectmen's meeting doing it. Now, I'll get on with it. I spent almost 25 years on the zoning board of appeals, so I'm familiar with the zoning bylaws. In order this to, those are the first 2 pages of the table of use regulations on what you can and cannot do in the zoning bylaws. If you look at the second page, I've got an arrow pointed there that talks about municipal facilities. Municipal facilities can go in any zone in the town of Dalton, residential, business, and industrial, by special permit from the zoning board of appeals. So wherever you decide to put this police station, you gotta go through the zoning board of appeals for permission. No doubt about it. Now, if you look at the first side, the first page on that, the people who voted for this, and this is my own personal opinion, I suggest you get a legal opinion on this. I do not believe that the vote that was taken to make this site residential can supersede the zoning. And the zoning is pretty clear. This is an R3 zone. Look at the R3 zone and go down to the 3rd section. It says you can put a building up with as many as 6 dwelling units. I don't think that the people that voted to have residential in here realize that. And I can tell you that with a certain amount of confidence, and this is where you need a legal opinion, is that if somebody came in here and decided to buy this whole plot, they could put up as many buildings as it would accommodate, with 6 units in each one. And I do not think that the people who live in this district who voted for this realize that. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Well, they would need a special permit to do so, yes.
Yes.
They would need approval from
It would not be
ZBA.
automatic. It'd be-
No, it wouldn't be by right.
Then it would be through the Board of Appeals.
Mhm.
Okay, so your biggest fight is going to be with the Board of Appeals, no matter which direction they go. Wherever you decide to put this police station, you're going to have to go through the Board of Appeals to do it. The first page and the second page tell you that.
Perfect.
to the credit to Greg Wilbur and Don Davis, who attended the last appeals board, that was clarified publicly out by Tony
Okay.
Doyle.
You know,
So-
I've talked to Donnie, I've given him
Yeah.
a copy of this before this.
So it's been, at that, you're right there in terms of the appeals board.
Correct. But Mr. Esty said this earlier, you work for the townspeople. And I can almost guarantee you without any possibility of being wrong, is that if you put a program forward where you're gonna put this police station on some other piece of property that you got to purchase, you're not gonna get it approved. The town is not gonna put that kind of money on the thing when you can put it here for free. All you gotta do is put the building there.
Well, to address that out, our committee here requested of our town manager to compose a RFP, request for proposals, to turn over that stone in terms of the community. And that will hopefully be part of the decision-making process that the voters will make.
Absolutely, and that'll come at a town meeting. The vote that was taken was at a town meeting. But what it should have really been, nobody down in my section of town ever got any kind of a questionnaire on where you would like to see the station, where the police station go. Nobody. I think those polls were taken at a meeting of that committee, which is a special interest group. And that's what was at the town meetings that voted for this to be residential, was a bunch of special intention people. They were there for that purpose. Put this to a town vote and see where the people put it. What you need is you need a broader cross-section of the community to determine where the station goes.
Thank you, Al. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Open as a license board.
Mr. Chairman, I move we open as the licensing board.
Second?
Okay. Motion been made second. Is there any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Lori, what do you got for us?
So as part of the process for renewing the 2026 liquor licenses, I am required to submit this document to the ABCC. And basically, it just highlights any changes in the licenses that are currently, changes from 2025 to 2026. The only change is that Silver Beer Distillery did not renew their license.
They closed.
Yep.
They closed.
Yep.
He went out of business.
Okay.
So that's the only change.
That's the change. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the renewal certification for 2026 as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Is there any further comments? All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I move we close as a licensing board.
Second.
Do we need to, what do we need to sign, Lori? This one?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, to close.
Okay. A motion to close them.
I said that.
I second. I
All
second.
right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, next one on here is correspondence.
So there were a number of items in the packet for correspondence. The first is the results from the town of Dalton Community Choice Power Supply Program, which just shows you how they're doing relative to if you had not chosen that option. So that's the first 2 pages of that for your review. And after that is a letter by certified mail from the town of Dalton Board of Health to Berkshire Concrete Company. I just put this in your packet as informational because I thought you should be aware that they had sent that. And the second thing is I do believe they have actually received a response regarding that, which is just basically they didn't respond directly. They just said, see our standard operating procedure, which shows you how we're mitigating dust anyway. So I don't know how the Board of Health is going to respond to that, but I left that letter in the packet. And the third thing was from Syncon Plastics, and that is their intent to apply for a Massachusetts EDC incentive program in Dalton, and their request for essentially a tax abatement on the additional investment in the physical building. Essentially what they're doing is adding considerably to the building. If this is approved and gets through the zoning commission, conservation commission, etc., they're going to be essentially doubling the size of their existing facility. And what they're asking for is a tax break on the increase in the side of the building. In other words, the money they're paying in taxes now, they will continue to pay, but over a 4-year period, they will be given tax breaks essentially for 4 years to spur a little economic development in Dalton.
We've done this for other businesses, have we not? Yes.
Yes, we've done it for a number of other businesses. We've actually done it for this manufacturer when they first moved to Dalton. So this is the second one they're applying for. And at your next meeting, the applicant will be in to discuss his application for a TIF, which is the reduction in taxation with the board.
Perfect.
So we'll give you more information as soon as we have a copy of their official request for a TIF.
I just have one comment, Eric, and I'm glad you included the aggregate. I don't know if all our residents are aware, but they can purchase electricity through the aggregate at a savings. It was just brought to my attention through Green Consumer Alliance, which is an advocacy group for green energy, that Massachusetts taxpayers pay somewhere in the range of $81 million over what they could pay if they did not take these third-party providers of electricities, which have an incentive, and then that incentive disappears and you're paying in excess of what Eversource or National Grid would pay. So more or less a public service announcement. Please look to Eversource or National Grid, in our case Eversource, but more importantly to Dalton as the aggregate provider for electricity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Clean Air Committee update.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. We haven't met since, oh boy, second week in December there. However, good news, we did receive the grant for 5 purple air monitors. So they have arrived. We'll be discussing them in terms of placement. It seems when it rains, it pours. Berkshire Regional Planning also wants to provide us with 5. So we have the flexibility to move these. I checked with the administrator, so that won't be an issue. As I recall, the town hall, Wacona has agreed, Craneville is a site, senior center, and across the apartments, the housing?
Housing across.
From Pine Grove. Okay. So, and just as a point of reference too, I brought one. I think it looks more or less like an oil filter. And that's it there. It plugs in. This is not solar, and you can attach it. It should be 7 to 10 feet above. Residents and owners have expressed interest in terms of placing them at their homes. The cost is minimal, maybe $4 to $5 a year, very little. So we're on our way, so to speak. So that's in the offing. Other than that, not much has happened until we meet again this week.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, town manager updates.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to wish the board as well as the residents of Dalton a happy new year. I'm glad we all made it through the Christmas season. It's certainly been a busy month. So in the last month, I've attended a number of meetings of various boards and commissions. I'm still trying to understand what each board does and what their responsibilities are, so I can work with them better. I did attend the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting last week, and we had a discussion about how the commission would view an application for locating a potential police station near the senior center, and also how that could fit in with plans to sell a portion of the property for residential development. That's something that I've always encouraged people to do when I was the equivalent chair, and that is to do a pre-application conference, because often the board has some relevant suggestions about what would and wouldn't in their minds fit in with the development. It's not binding when you do a pre-application conference, but it's good to get that guidance. So myself and Don were there representing the town in that. I thought that went well. I am encouraged that we have a really strong zoning board of appeals chair. So that was wonderful. As I said before, we had lost our town accountant, Tiffany Whitney. Efforts are underway to replace her, both on a short-term basis as well as a longer-term, finding a permanent replacement for that. You have the draft, the latest draft for the town personnel policy. I know we're going to table that to the next meeting. And obviously, we've gone ahead with the new format for department head results. What I would appreciate is before the next meeting, if you have any feedback from me about specific things you want to see or don't want to see, then I suggest that you give them to me and I will relay that to the appropriate department head. I also wanted to know what you wanted to see on an ongoing basis for the financial information from the town, because that doesn't seem like something we're putting in the packets, at least to my. Do you want to see monthly financial statements? What do you want to see in that regard as a board?
I think we have discussed it briefly, but I always like to see what's been appropriated, what's been expended, what's left, and to just have that running tally, so to speak. I don't know if it's convenient monthly or every third board meeting or something like that, but it's
Quarterly even.
quarterly, sure. I don't want to stress, put undue stress. I mean, we're asking a lot of things now. So,
Right. To be honest, they run one for me every month because I want that information on a monthly basis. I can certainly provide it to you.
I'd like that.
If you want to see that.
mind doing that, that'd
packet.
be a huge,
Okay.
that'd be good.
Okay, I think it's appropriate, but not everybody wants to see that, so I don't want to give it to you if you have no interest in reviewing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about the local technical assistant grant. I am actively working with both the policy board chair as well as Yanko in crafting that. I'm probably going to submit that on Friday of this week, either Thursday or Friday. And I'm assuming that I can submit that on behalf of the town because it doesn't actually require a town match, and that you don't want a motion. You don't intend to make a motion to allow me to submit it, that I'm free to submit any grant that doesn't require town money.
All right.
Is that my understanding?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, okay, good. I did hold an open house at the senior center this Saturday. It was sparsely attended, but it was productive. We had some really good conversation. Robert Bishop was there also, which I appreciated. And I think I want to do another one in February in the Dalton Library, but maybe change up the time and see whether we can get a little more attendance. So budget season is in full swing. Obviously, I'm getting some reports in now for the department heads and working as fast as I can to produce a responsible budget for the Board of Selectmen, knowing that we are going to be pretty close on the Prop 2.5 limit, and that's going to impact some of the things we want to do. And we already talked about the Capital Planning Committee, so I won't rehash that. So that is basically all I have, unless you have other questions or concerns for me.
Well, sounds like you've been busy.
Trying to be.
Okay, future agenda items.
Yes, Bob, I do. I know it was in December, we had had a discussion regarding licensing, the ABC Commission. I did reach out to them. I have information to report, so if we can have that as a future agenda item, that'd be great. Also, I had mentioned earlier regarding the public safety facility. We have an opening. I'd like to discuss that in terms of filling that one remaining opening. And finally, I had mentioned this some time ago also, but our town assessor reviewed the BCC properties, and there will be additional tax dollars, I believe, in terms of their residentially zoned property and also the solar property. So we will be receiving revenue, but of more import is the notion of taxing the mineral rights below the property. And in talking to Lee, we had asked, and you may be more on this, Eric, than I, but a statement, an income and expense form from BCC, which really didn't address the mineral rights below the property here. We're talking some 275 acres. So I had done earlier research, and Lee, I appraised him of this, but basically an appraisal to determine the mineral rights would be a specialist who is both a certified appraiser and also a geologist. And there is an individual whom I spoke to who lives down in the Bridgewater area, and there's another individual who recommended him, and I'd like to see that as an agenda item, that we pursue possibly a specialized appraisal of BCC, and it would also be any other properties that would have mineral rights too, I believe, off of, up there off Mr. Nichols, I think also has a gravel operation. But basically, I'd like to pursue that and investigate that further. We're talking lots of money here below the ground, and it should be taxed and assessed and taxed accordingly. Maybe it will take us nowhere, but I'd like to have that as an agenda item and speak to that.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, it was mentioned before, but just make sure that the policy manual revisions is on the next meeting.
Okay, items not anticipated 48 hours for the meeting. I have one. Lori, you want to speak on that?
I think Eric can speak to that.
Okay.
Sure. So, unfortunately, the new spam filter that we're using had caught something that we should have responded to quite a while ago. And that was annually we use the Franklin Regional Council of Governments as essentially subcontractor to produce a lot of the road work. So they put out RFPs across a wide range of road work categories, including salt, gravel, road sweeping, a lot of the tasks that Public Works do. I think they do like 27 different ones a year. They charge an administrative fee to do that. We should accept that administrative fee because I think that saves us a lot in the long run. This was due on the 9th. We realized it Friday, so I'm bringing it to your attention because the signatory for that is either the select board or the mayor of the town. So I would propose that we agree to sign that document and get that back to them. So hopefully we can stay in their good graces. It is based on the population of the town. Because we're not a FERCOG member, the cost is $3,858 per year.
And this is a renewal. How many years have we had this agreement with them?
A lot.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
been
tell you how
several, at
many,
least
but
3 at least, as far as I know.
yeah.
Well, motion?
Can I-
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I just want to see something here. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agreement between the Town of Dalton and Franklin Regional Council of Governments for the collective highway bid program.
Second.
Okay, Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Where's the signature?
It's in the middle.
Ah,
Signatures on page 4.
Anyone?
you can do that, and I'll do here.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. One all apart. Okay, remarks of the select board. Anybody?
Yes, I do. I wish Henry was here and the other gentleman was here, but I certainly would like to address what they said earlier in terms of what transpired in December at 3 of our select board meetings, one of which I was absent. And this is simply my take. We had a sealed bid process. The bids were returned. We voted accordingly. The vote was 3-1 to accept a bid, not the highest bid. Consequently, we met in executive session prior to our open meeting session with our attorney, and that attorney said the select board did have discretion in this matter. The bid that was accepted was lawful and binding. Consequently, we were obliged to offer a purchase and sales agreement to the bidder. That vote went 4-1. I didn't know at the time, and I don't know if the board members did, but we had to meet one further time in terms of signing off publicly with the town clerk present. And confusion of why was it so soon? Why wasn't it an open meeting? I wasn't there because I had plans accordingly. I thank the 3 board members that did appear, and that was the reason why it was signed, to conclude this process. And so I just want to be clear, if Henry was here or the other gentleman was here, that's my take on what happened. And it may be controversial. It is what it is.
I just want to clarify that it was an open meeting. There just was no public comment period in the beginning.
Yes, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, Dan.
Yes, I'd like to little expand on that whole thing. Fact one, when we walked away from making North Mountain Park up there, we saved the town about $2 million. Number 2, nobody ever spoke badly of Dick and Crane. Number 3, Dick and Crane had 2 chances to buy the surrounding ARPA land, but he did not. Number 3, I checked what the price of that was with all the land that we sold. I checked the price with our assessor's office, and all those parcels, including the last one, was $56,100. We collected $180,500 for a profit of $124,400. So I don't think we did a bad deal. So I just wish the stone throwers would have had a little more facts. Okay, and that's my final take on it. Thank you. Okay, announcements. Volunteer Appreciating Brunch has been scheduled for January 24th, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Dalton Senior Center. Invitations to the volunteers went out earlier this week. The bridge on East Housatonic Street between East Street and Route 8 will be one lane until further notice due to structural concerns. The Dalton Police Department is reminding its citizens of the winter parking ban in effect through April 15th, 2026, between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. During this time, there will be no parking allowed on the streets. The ADA Committee, the Green Dalton Committee, and the Conservation Committee are looking for volunteers. Please visit the town website for more information. The town of Dalton currently has the following employment opportunities: town accountant, emergency manager director, emergency on-call operator, DPW motor equipment operator. Please visit the town website or contact the town manager's office for more information. Dalton's official meeting postings, agendas, and minutes can be viewed at mygovernment.org-01226. The next meeting, the regular meeting of the Dalton Select Board, is scheduled to take place on Monday, January 26, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Dalton Senior Center with an option for remote participation.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Good night, Dalton.